Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Toefl Pbt structure section with you, Shadi R. Abu Yusuf. Today we're going to talk about skill number 9. And the title of this skill is Use Noun Clause Connectors Correctly. Now, let me talk about something here in the beginning before I get into the real business. Now, let's have a look at this. What is a clause? Let me remind you of what we said before. A clause is subject plus verb. So this is what we call in English a clause. So when I say a clause, I mean subject plus verb. Fantastic. Now, what about the word noun? Because in this skill we have use noun clause. So clause, subject plus verb. Now we need to understand the functions of the noun in English. Now, in English language, the noun could be number one, it could be a subject, and it could be an object, and it could be an object of a preposition. Fantastic. So the noun could be a subject, and it could be an object, and it could be an object of a preposition. Let me give you some examples about this. Let's see some examples here. Now let's see how the noun could be used as a subject. Like when I say the house is nice. Now, house is a noun, and it is used as a subject here. The house is nice. Now look at this one here. Look at this one. I can say I know the house. Now let's have a look here. Look at the house. The house this time is not a subject. It is very clear that it is an object. Now look at this. The house is an object here. Why? Because we have I as a subject, know as a verb, and the house as an object. So in the first sentence, the house was a subject, and in the second sentence, the house was an object. Now let me show you this one. I don't care about the house. I don't care about the house. Now look at this, people. I don't care about the house. The house here is also an object. But it's not an object. It's not a normal object. It's an object of a preposition, because the preposition is about. So house is an object of a preposition which is about. Look at this. So please look at the three sentences here together. So I've got the house in the first sentence as a subject, and the house in the second sentence as an object, and the house in the third sentence as an object of the preposition. An object of the preposition. Now I can use a clause instead of the noun. Look at this. This is a very amazing part here. And this is the main idea in this skill, that we can use a clause instead of the noun. So we can use the clause, which is a subject plus verb, as a subject. And I can use the clause in English as an object. And I can use the clause as an object of a preposition. Let me give you an example here. Look at this one. And I want you to focus on the first example, which is the house is nice. Look at this. I'm going to write it, but in a different way. I'm going to say, where you live is nice. Oh, where you live is nice. It's like the house is nice. But this time, I took the house out, and then I put where you live. Look at this carefully. Where you live. So where you live is the subject, and is the verb. Where you live is nice. This sentence is completely right. This is why we call this clause noun clause. Why do we call it a noun clause? Because it is a clause that works as a noun. Because one of the functions of the noun is that it comes as a subject in the beginning of the sentence. Now look at this. Let's analyze it together. So we have where, which is a connector. Fantastic. That's number one. And then we have you, which is a subject. That is great. And then we have live, which is a verb. That's amazing. And then we have is, which is the main verb in the sentence. So we have 4 elements here. 4 important elements. Let me write that number because it's a very important number. 4 effective elements. Where as a connector, you as a subject, and live as a verb. And where you live, all of it is a subject. And is the verb for this subject. So where you live is nice. I can take where you live away and I can say the house is nice. Now let's move to number 2, which is I know the house. And we can do the same thing. I can say I know where you live. Kushti. I know where you live. Now what about I? I is a subject. What about know? Know is a verb. And what about where you live? It's a noun clause that is used as an object. And let's analyze the elements that we have in this one. We've got I, which is a subject. And we've got know, which is a verb. And then we've got where you live, which is the noun clause used as an object. And where is a connector. You is a subject. And live is a verb. And when we count this together, we find that we've got 5 elements. These are 5 elements. Fantastic. Now let's move to number 3. I don't care about the house. I don't care about the house. And we said that the house is an object of the preposition. Now let me write it in a different way here. I can say I don't care about where you live. Amazing. I don't care about where you live. That's cool. Now look at this. I is, that's a subject. And don't care, that's a verb. And about, this is the preposition. Now where you live is what we call the noun clause that is used as an object of the preposition. And inside this noun clause we've got where, which is a connector, you, which is a subject, and live, which is a verb. So how many elements do we have here? We've got 5 elements. The idea is whenever an element is missing, the sentence is incorrect. One more time. Whenever an element is missing, the sentence is incorrect. So if you want to use the noun clause, look carefully. And you are going to find that when you put the noun clause as a subject, which means in the beginning of the sentence, you need 4 elements. When you put it as an object, whether it's a normal object or an object of a preposition, so you need 5 elements. Now let me show you how you might find questions about this skill in the TOEFL test. Let me give you like an example about the multiple choice questions. Okay, let me give you that one. And we need some space. Look at this. We've got an empty space here, and then was late caused many problems. Fantastic. And the choices. That he, the driver, there, because. Now we have 4 choices here, as you see. 4 choices. Was late, caused many problems. That he, the driver, there because. Well, my advice, before you think about the choices you have, the 4 choices you have, you'd better read the sentence carefully to see what it contains and what it doesn't. As you see, we've got was, and was is a verb. Fantastic. So this is point number 1. And we've got caused. Oh my God, that's another verb. Okay, now it is very easy now because you've got 2 verbs back to back here. Was late and then caused. And from what we studied before, we understand that when the 2 verbs come together like that, it means that the noun clause comes in the beginning. And in order for this sentence to be correct, we need a connector and we need a subject. So because that's a connector, no subject there, no connector here. The driver, only a subject. That he, that is a connector. He is a subject. That would be the right answer. So we can read it like this. That he was late caused many problems. That he was late caused many problems. This is the correct answer for this question here. So the idea is, try to look at the sentence first and try to figure out what you miss. Fantastic. Now let's move to correct and incorrect questions here. I've got some very nice examples to give about that. Number 1, the manual. How the device should be built. Fantastic. The manual how the device should be built. In order to discover if this sentence is correct or incorrect, we need actually to analyze. Do we have a subject? Yes, the manual here is a subject. Fantastic. So that's our subject. Now, what else do we have? We've got a connector here. Fantastic, that's a connector. We've got the device, which is a subject. We've got should be built, which is a verb. Oh, so we've got subject, and then we've got how the device should be built, which is a noun clause. A noun clause coming at the end, which means that it's a noun clause that is used as an object. And we have a subject here. A subject with no verb. Someone might say, what about should be built? I say, no, 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 no. Should be built is a verb for device. And the verb here and the subject are part of what we call a noun clause used as an object. Used as an object, okay, at the end. So what we miss here is a little verb that can make it completely correct. Like I say, the manual shows how the device should be built. That's fantastic. Or I can say the manual explains how the device should be built. So I put a verb after the manual and the sentence is correct. Now let's have a look at another one. And look at this one here. Talked about where we should go for a lunch. Okay, great. Talked about where we should go for a lunch. Now, where is the noun clause? This is the noun clause. And it's a noun clause that is used as an object. How do I know? Because it comes at the end. And it has where, which is a connector, we, which is a subject, and should, which is a verb, should go. So this means that the noun clause is correct. Nothing wrong with it. So I need to look for the problem somewhere else. Now I have talked, which is a verb, but it is so bad that it's a verb without a subject, which means that we have a subject missing here. because where we should go for a lunch is the object, and talked about is the verb, so we need a subject. So like, we talked about where we should go for a lunch, and we need to make this a small letter. So that's another one. Let's take another sentence. Why the condition of the patient deteriorated so rapidly, it was not explained. Well, in order to answer this sentence in a good way and quickly, let's get the noun clause first. I've got why as a connector, and then the condition of the patient as a subject, and then we've got deteriorated as a verb. Oh, so all of this is a noun clause. Fantastic. A noun clause where? Well, let's add so rapidly along with that. No problem. It's an adverb, but we can add it here. Let me fix this. Yes, fantastic. So rapidly. Good, great. So why the condition of the patient deteriorated so rapidly? So this is the noun clause. The green one is the noun clause. Why the condition of the patient deteriorated so rapidly. It's a noun clause that comes in the beginning, which means that this is a subject. And then we have it. And here is the problem, because if the green clause is the subject, so why do we need it here? In this case, we will have double subjects and one verb. The one verb is was, because this is like the main verb here, the big one, wasn't explained. And then it, that's what we call an extra subject. There is an extra subject here, and in order to make this sentence correct, we take this subject away and the sentence becomes great. Thank you very much for watching this skill. That was Shadi Abu Yusuf, and wait for me in another skill, the Toefl Pbt structure section. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.